Good afternoon, people, and welcome to another radio review. Of course, today we're just going to be updating information on what was going on with the Radtel RT-730. As from previous videos, especially those on YouTube, I know Rumble doesn't have all of it, but to fill everybody in on what was going on with it, and of course you can see Radtel 730 there on the screen. What was going on was a power problem I was having on the unit. On UHF frequencies, it was only transmitting 1 watt or less, even on high power, which is a big problem. Really it is, especially when you have a 10-watt radio. However, I contacted the Radtel Corporation, and after quite a few emails back and forth discussing the problem, we did get it sorted out. I'll fill you in on that in a moment. Of course, the thing about contacting Radtel, the corporation, is that I have to email them in the middle of the night or message with them in the middle of the night so that I can communicate with them almost in real time. But I did talk to them, got it all straightened out, and they sent me a brand new RT-730, and the new one's right here on the screen. You've seen the new one that I got in just the other day, and I've done some testing on it. Of course, we put it through our SureCom meter and tested it up, and the power output, it's pretty good. You know, you get about 8-9 watts on UHF. That's pretty good. On a 10-watt radio, VHF runs around 10 or so watts, sometimes a little bit more. So, hey, that's really good. But the UHF on the high power is working. So, hey, that's a positive in my opinion. The whole thing is working out the way that I like. So I'm actually very impressed with that. We did a range test on it yesterday on Simplex, and we had a good distance on. We had a good distance on it with buildings and stuff in between. If we were doing a line of sight, probably about half a mile or so, but we had a lot of buildings and stuff in between. So I had a real good strong signal at that range. The other thing is, of course, I have a local repeater that's close by that I might want to use. And of course, the old radio wouldn't hit it. It's only it's on top of a building about a quarter of a mile away or so. And the old radio wouldn't hit it. The new one, although they sent me, it does hit it. You don't always know that it's hitting it, but it does. That's the problem with the repeater in there. But yes, it is all working. We're not going to power up and go to the menu or anything today. We could, but there's nothing really new to put into the thing about the menu. Except, of course, if you're in VFO mode and you want to put in your CT, CSS tones, when you get in that menu, you're going to actually have to hit the star key to get to the sub-menu. That's something to keep in mind on this radio. There are some little features on it that we probably should discuss sometime. But other than that, it's a really good radio. Let me see here. I'll just do it real quick for everybody. All right, let me see here. All right, we can use that for now. Okay, so I know I still have the voice prompts on. Okay, I don't know if we can see this here. Let me get a little more light over here. Sometimes we have to put a little more light on the subject to get the light to cancel out here. Let's see if we can do this without knocking the camera out of whack. Oh. Okay, that's not going to work. Oh, right there is not going to work. I had this problem the other day. I had to put a little more light on the subject to get it to balance out, and then we could move it and balance it out. All right, so anyway, I'll just step you through this process because I know you're not going to be able to read the whole screen here. But so when you want to put in a tone, you'll go in here to your tone, to the TCT/DCS tone. They're not separate. Now you're going to go into off. If you hit menu again, you're just going to exit out. But if you'll hit menu and where it says off, you hit star, and it'll switch over to either your megahertz or your CTCSS or your DCS tones just by pressing star. It'll switch through them when you turn it back off. That's how that operates right there. That's just a little something there to keep in mind if you are going to use this radio with tones and stuff. One little feature that I found that's important to know. All right. All right. So that's one of those features to keep in mind when you're looking at it is that we don't need that now. Okay. So, of course, like I said, that's just one of the little features that I found in there. Now, like I said before, this is a great looking radio. It's got a good heavy weight to it. The belt clip is very sturdy. Very good belt clip on this. Of course, it does attach directly to, it attaches directly to the battery. But it's an easy on and off belt clip. And they only have one belt clip, one battery, so you don't have to worry about changing it. Now, I have the belt clip on here because, as I've said before, this radio is big enough that it doesn't fit in my normal radio case that I use. However, you can get a case that's a little bit bigger that'll fit it. Not a big deal if you want a radio case instead of a belt clip. Personally, I prefer the radio case, but hey, some people like belt clips. Of course, like I've said before, this is dual PTT. So there's two PTT buttons here. Important to note that. That's one of the big selling points. The big things I like on a radio are, of course, your dual PTT and the channel knob. Now, you cannot get a lot of GMRS radios with a channel knob, although I found. I'm always looking, although. So when I find any radio that's got a good channel knob and good features to it, I'm all over it. But that's why I like this radio, was for those basic features. It's big, it's heavy, it's it's sturdy, it's got a good feel to it. It's got your dual PTT and your channel knob, and that makes it a great radio in my opinion. However, some people may not like those features. And I understand that. I mean, dual PTT, some people only want single. And for some people, that's easier to do, But I prefer the dual function. That way I can be on two different, that way if I've got, for some reason I'm on two different frequencies and, our channels, I can know which is which. I don't have to go back and forth by using the keypad to switch channels. It becomes a good thing, and it's a benefit. Of course, or to transmit on which one. Of course, channel knob is great. Now, I leave the voice prompt on just because I'm using the channel knob a lot to tell me what number I'm on. I know which one's which by the numbers, so it works out. However, of course, that can easily be turned off from the menu, so as can any other setting there is. There's a lot of little features in the radio that you find out over time. Now, of course, this has one of the big gimmicks that I don't really like in a radio, and I've come to not like in a radio. I thought it was cool when the first radio I got had it, but not really. And that's the being able to receive and transmit, if it's completely unlocked, on frequencies down in the CB bands, which is 27 megahertz and so forth. This one goes all the way down to 18 megahertz and up to 630 megahertz. Now, the thing is, the radio itself is not designed to operate on those bands. And it's not going to receive anything on those lower frequencies unless, of course, you're right next to it. So it's a gimmick, really it is. I mean, a lot of people may like that, but I think it's a bit of a gimmick that we don't need. But hey, it's whatever. But overall, it's a good size radio. It's got a good feel to it. It's the largest radio I actually have sitting around here, except for the UV82, which has an extended battery on it, so maybe that's a bit bigger. Of course, the battery life on this is not as long as some of the others. that you can get out there on the market, I'm sure. Let me see here. Battery life is 2,500 milliamps. So 2,500 milliamp hour battery. But if you're listening to it, it'll last you all day. Maybe a little bit more. It just depends on how long you're going to use it. That's one of those things. So, of course, it's got a decent battery on it. It's got a good range on it, good power output. So, and I think it was a really great thing. I was able to talk to the company and let them know the problem, and of course, link them to some video of the problem that has been posted on YouTube, and showed them the problem and everything, and communicated with them, and they were able to rectify the situation, and it in a very timely manner too. They had the radio to me. I think I had it in 48 hours after. I think from the time they shipped it, it was 48 hours to get it. So it worked out really well. But they are a good company. They make good radios. It's just sometimes there's one or two in the lot, and I've had a couple of duds lately that have come up that I've had to deal with. This one I had to contact the company directly on. I couldn't just do a return. I was past the return window because I just barely gotten around to doing anything really and getting into testing and everything. I get busy, and it's not my main radio. My main radio is really the GM30 Plus. That's the one I use all the time. But I like to have a radio, always on the desk listening to stuff, and this one works for that too. But, I had that problem with the 830. We had a problem with the 830. It completely quit working, even though the battery was charged. Couldn't power it up or anything. Just a few minutes after powering it on recently. And that was on an 830. And, of course, I just shipped it back. I didn't need another one. I wasn't going to fight with it. I wasn't going to try and get another one and work on it. It wasn't a big deal. Now, upcoming. Some things I want to mention while we're on here for upcoming things. We have some new radios that we're going to be doing reviews on. We've got older radios we're going to be talking about also coming up in the next few days. So I'm going to try to start getting more content out for you. I've got a review on some that I'm working that I'm going to be talking about antennas. Some of the antennas I have, which mostly are just the stock antennas. I've got a few antennas that I'm waiting to get, and then we can test them as well. But I've done a lot of testing on a lot of these things, so it's one of those things you get where you're testing stuff, it works out. Anyway, if you're looking for a good, high-quality, heavy-duty radio, maybe the 730 is a good choice for you. Granted, it's got a 4-directional D-pad there, and you only really need up and down. The other two you're never going to use. But all in all, it's a good radio. It's heavy duty. It's rated to be, I believe, IP67. I'm a little iffy on that. The door seal's good on it. The battery's got a good seal inside it. The only thing that makes me iffy on that is the fact that the see if y'all can see that there, that there's no cover on the USB-C charger. There's no cover there, so it makes me iffy as to whether or not it is actually IP67, but I don't think if you got it wet, you're going to be plugging it in right away anyway. That'd be kind of a bad idea. But I do think it's a good radio. I like it, and it tested out pretty good yesterday. Like I said, we did some tests on it yesterday afternoon, and a half mile with buildings and stuff in between, with stock antenna. Now the antenna that comes with it, I say stock antenna, that's not the antenna. That's not the stock antenna I have on it. I have actually a smaller antenna because of the camera, but the stock antenna is a 15-inch whip antenna. So with the stock antenna being the 15-inch antenna, um, or even with shorter, uh, the shorter little antenna that I've got on here right now, half a mile through the buildings, with buildings and all the and trees and stuff in between, it was no problem. Probably could have been talking a little bit further away, but I'm just guessing about a half mile on, because I know about where things are. But other than that, it works really well. And distance-wise, it'll get the distance. It'll get the job done. And, of course, if you're in a straight open field line of sight, I mean, you've got a good long range on it. It's a 10-watt radio. So you're going to get the distance you want. Of course, most people that are going to use the radio are going to use a repeater tower anyway if they can. So that works out that way. Let me put this away. All right. So would I recommend it? Yes, I would recommend it. Currently, that radio runs. We'll get links for these radios up for everybody. Actually, I can probably get a link for that right now. I'll put the link in the description later. Okay, so the 730 currently runs $49.99 on Amazon, and if you have Prime, of course, it's free shipping. And that is a bit on sale right now. Usually, it's about $60. So that is all right. Let me get that out of the way there. Okay, we'll put that up in our description up here. All right. There we go. I know that's a long link in there, isn't it? I had to find a way to shorten that up. I'll have to go back and do this later because I have to find a way to shorten that link. Okay. But we'll start getting links into the chat, or into the, not the chat, but into the description for the radios that we talk about. And once we have that in there, of course, it'll be easier for people to go and purchase one if they want. But it is available on Amazon currently for $50. So, I mean, it's a bit maybe it's a little bit more than you want to spend, but it's a good radio. All right. Okay. All right. Coming up later this week, we'll be talking about the we're talking about a couple of antennas that I recently tested. I've also got a couple of radios I want to talk about as well. So, and then of course we'll have new radios and new reviews coming up soon. But hey, we're going to look at some of the older radios that are sitting here too. That's what we do here. All right, so we'll do another stream later on, and y'all can tune in to that, and we'll be talking about another radio then.